Hey guys, it's Brandon back here on YouTube, just sharing another message with you. First, I want to say thank you to all those who voted for me for state representative in Michigan's 10th House District, all those in Rifford Township in the city of Detroit that really supported the way forward and believed in our message that, we really start the comeback for Michigan from the bottom up by making sure that working families get some relief. And a lot of people have been calling, emailing me, asking like what's next. And I want to be clear. I've been in community organizing, progressive organizing for the last 15 years, over almost half of my life. And that's not going to stop now. We're going to continue pushing for tax reform for working families that puts money back in your pocket. And that starts with the restoration of the Earned Income Tax Credit and also the restoration of the Michigan's Child Dependency Tax Credit. Those are two huge credits that can bring back at least $1,000 back into 1 out of every 5 families here in Michigan. So that's something that we're serious about. And we're going to continue that work, not through a candidate campaign, but through an individual political action committee called the Urban Progressive Fund. This fund will work to support progressive issues and progressive candidates here in Michigan, and hopefully we can, really spread that good vibration, that good work nationwide, because we need it. Lately, of course, those who follow me and those who know who I am, I've been following the Mike Brown situation, just like everybody else in America. And something that really struck me was in Detroit on August 5th, the voter turnout was around 6%. In Ferguson on August 5th, they had a local municipal primary, and that turnout was 12%. You got two cities with, the majority of the population is African American, Black, Negro, whatever word you want to use, but they're people of color. And they opted out of getting engaged in the electoral process. And just yesterday, August 19th, the mayor of Ferguson said that there was no problems in Ferguson. Right. Just like you, like, what? How do you mean there's no problems in Ferguson? He said that pretty much the unrest was, just in a couple blocks. People in other areas of Ferguson are, still out walking their dogs and things like that. Well, that's the problem. That's the disconnect that we see every day in urban communities. And that's the reason why you need groups like our Urban Progressive Fund, not only just to parachute in, thinking that we're know-it-alls, because any rule one in community organizing and grassroots organizing is that you respect local leadership. And for a lot of groups that are out now, a lot of guys driving to Ferguson, if that's what makes your heart feel good, well, go do that. But you got to respect the local leadership. And for the local leadership in Ferguson, we got to really get engaged in the political process. 12% of the voting population in Ferguson participating in the local election is the reason why only 3 out of over 60 police officers in Ferguson are Black. That's the reason why the city council's all white. That's the reason why the mayor can go on national television and say that there's no problem in Ferguson, because he's disconnected from the 2/3 of the people who he serves. So that's the first problem. But number two, something that the Urban Progressive Fund, myself, and a lot of grassroots organizers, not just here in Michigan, but also across the country, are starting to do is starting to document incidences where local police are overusing their force, and not just a documentation of like the date and the time. We want to know where it happened, the location, down to the street corner where it happened, so we can pinpoint it in a new way using technology and start to show on a map to our elected officials what the problem is. Because on June 19th, the U.S. House of Representatives, they passed House Resolution 4870, which was the Department of Defense Appropriations Act. Now, this is a normal procedure in Congress, but something else that happened with it, there is an amendment by Congressman Grayson out of Florida. He's a Democrat out of Florida. And his amendment would stop the sale of military-grade weapons to local municipalities. Now, for a lot of us to say, well, that, what's wrong with that? Well, that's how, in a lot of cases, the federal government, especially the Department of Defense, makes their money back on these big, huge purchases of these new weapons for the military. But we got to be clear: there's no need for a tank or tear gas that you can't use in Iraq. You shouldn't be able to use it in Ferguson either, or in Compton, or in Detroit, or in New York, or any other community in the United States. Period. So, unfortunately, Congressman Grayson's legislation, his amendment to House Bill 4870 was defeated. It wasn't defeated by a close margin. 355 Congresspeople in the House of Representatives voted against that amendment. They saw it as good as for the war on terror. Well, the war on terror right now, if you look at Ferguson, if you look at communities across the state and across Missouri and across the country, that war is now being turned on to peaceful protesters, people who just want justice. And as long as Darren Wilson hasn't been called and arraigned on charges, we got to keep the protest up. But for those opportunists that want to go to Ferguson just to get their name known, you need to stay at home and help people collect data and help people really tell the story about what's going on. We ain't got enough room for opportunists. We got plenty of room for those who want to make change and real organizers. So with that, I just want to say thank you to all those who support, progressive movements, for those who support grassroots organizing. And thank you again for those who voted for me, Brandon Jessup, for state representative. Thank you to those who support progress in Michigan. And let's work to make some things happen. God bless.